Hi everybody, this is Crystal, and this is the third video in the video series that goes along with the workbook called Maintenance of Certification Step by Step by Crystal Culp. And you can find that workbook on Amazon just by searching the title and the author. And I'm Crystal. And so today's video, we're on page 4 of that workbook, and we're talking about the basic facts of maintenance of certification. So you'll see the list of all of that information there. There are a few things that I'd like to highlight about that. When it says time, the amount of time that it would take you, this is really going to vary depending on the person and your organizational skills and how you organize your time and calendar what it is that you're going to do with students. So even though this says on here that the pilot study, after they gathered information from those of us who were part of that pilot, reporting that it took an average of 53 hours to complete that MOC, again, it's going to vary person to person. But you need to know that this is going to take some time. You are really going to have to work it in to everything else that you have to do as a teacher. And as teachers, our schedules are not very forgiving. And so you're going to need to have conversations with the people in your life that's going to need to support you through this process. Just like the first time you went through maintenance of certification, that support for those that love you is going to be very important. The great news about maintenance of certification is that 9 out of 10 NBCTs maintain their certification. And I just have to believe that the reason the 1 out of 10 doesn't is maybe because they failed to actually submit it, or they rushed it, just didn't take the time, maybe didn't read the instructions, and then it was non-scorable. That's just me and my take on it, because 9 out of 10 do maintain. So the whole focus of the way maintenance of certification is designed, and it's a bit different from renewal, is it's really focused on your growth as an educator, but it's tying your growth to the impact that you've had on student learning. And there are some things that you just can't ignore. You cannot ignore the 5 core propositions. You know, every national board standard is written out of those 5 core propositions. So you need to make sure that you remember those. The previous video that I made in this series was about getting into those standards again and reading them and knowing them and connecting what you're already doing with what you see in those standards. So the 5 core props, the national board standards, and that architecture of accomplished teaching. All 3 are going to be very important to you to make sure that you familiarize yourself with them before you get too deep into maintenance of certification, because it's going to make the process much easier when you're familiar with those things. So eligibility, MOC, you cannot complete your maintenance of certification if your initial certification has expired. You have to be a current NBCT before you can complete your maintenance of certification. And you do not have to continue to be in the classroom to maintain your certification. You can borrow a classroom from someone to do your video that's going to be required as part of MOC. Their timing is listed on here. It talks about how you can start up to 2 years before your certification expires. And so I've had some people ask me before, well, does that mean that then this maintenance will expire 2 years sooner? Nope. Maintenance, once you maintain, that extension of your certificate is for 5 years and starts at the end of the original certification. So you'll get your full value out of maintenance even if you started and submitted 2 years before your certification expires. Okay, so you're probably familiar with the National Board Calendar. It works in a candidate cycle that is it can be very confusing. Registration, the last day that you're able to register for a candidate cycle is of February, like right in the middle of that candidate cycle. And so the last day of February may be the 28th, or if it's a leap year, it may be the 29th, but it's the last day of February. That doesn't mean that you're not already working on maintenance. If you know this is the year you're going to work on maintenance, you need to really start thinking about it at the beginning of that school year even if you're not registered yet. But you can put off registration until February of that candidate cycle. You are then going to submit just a few months later, then in May. It's usually around mid-May, and then it's a long haul till scoring. Scoring traditionally does not come out until that first Saturday in December. At least that's traditionally, historically, how National Board releases scores, that first Saturday in December. Okay, so I hope you found this basic fact video helpful to you. This is the third video in the series that goes along with that workbook, Maintenance of Certification Step by Step. So I hope you found this information valuable, and I'll see you in the next video.